Here are your hosts for the Super Soaker, Ben and Skin.
Ooh, soaked.
Yes, we are off and running on a Tuesday. The Super Soaker is back. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ben Rogers. That's Jeff Skin Wade, and we love doing this. So thank you to everyone who's subscribing to the YouTube channel and jumping into this content with us. If you leave some comments, we'll get them into the mix. And we got a great show for you today. We've got to talk about, we got some music updates we're going to get to. We've got, it's almost MAVS time, MAVS Media Day. Man, a Poopmageddon crisis at my house. We got a brand new segment today called The News Bender with Strip Mall Steve Shackelford.
What?
We got the Scroll Patrol today. We got to talk about these Cowboys injuries. Can they survive these injuries? But we probably need to get this thing started by pointing out that, Skin, you were under the knife yesterday. You actually had surgery yesterday, some butt implants and a penile enlargement, very needed. But no, dude, you're playing hurt because you just had surgery yesterday.
Yeah, I was debating whether or not to show everyone my hernia scar.
Oh,
but laughing hurts. My wife advised against it. But yes, got a hernia yesterday. Or hernia surgery yesterday, and honestly, I am a little groggy, but not because of pain meds. I am going with strictly Advil and Tylenol, and the reason is because hydrocodone can back you up.
Oof.
And as you know, I'm the most regular man in America, and I have not rocked a douche yet since Sunday.
Oh my God, they call you the poop goose.
Yeah. So I just want to tell you that if that magic moment happens during the stream, I'm getting out of here because I fear the growler. With the current state, like it hurts to laugh, you know,
Yeah.
the sore down there. So if that moment happens, I'm out, dude. I'm not holding it. This is treacherous territory for me. It has to happen very soon.
Okay.
Very soon.
You're a guy that's so regular that I just thought anytime you sat down, you had like a portable wheelchair toilet that you sat on and rolled everywhere.
No, I used to, but man, there's just so many places with stairs, and it made it difficult. So
You need a hovering one. You need a hovering wheelchair toilet.
I need one of those things from Wall-E, you know, where I just float around and staring at the phone, and I eat and poop and just float.
Let's get a look at that coffee mug, because you brought up a point. Like the Super Soaker, we're doing the Lord's work here, and you pointed out that are coffee cups made for people who are left-handed or not? Is that the same thing?
So this one is
Okay.
double-sided.
Okay.
This is back when my kids loved me. This was a long time ago. A long time ago.
Man, that's the truth. My daughter, she's 13. She'll be 14 in December. And she just, at some point, just began to speak with such razor sharp, just hate. It's not hate.
No,
but
it
it's
is. I've had a teenage daughter. It is.
It's
hate.
like last night she plays basketball, you know, and she got games all the time, and so sometimes it doesn't work with what we do, and I'm not always able to go to her games. And you know, for instance, if there's a 5:30 or 6 o'clock game, we're getting off the air and then
Right.
And so I was like, hey, you know, I want to talk to you about, she's right-handed and she's really good at getting to the bucket going downhill, but she always gets the ball in her game. She hasn't developed her left yet, so she always gets the ball on the right side of the court, kind of right up against the sideline. So she's only got a little bit of room on the side and a little bit of baseline. And I was like, it's okay to just have a right hand right now. You need to develop your left because I know what your goals are. But if you're only going to have a right, don't start so close to the sideline, because now that's an extra defender and you're giving yourself a limited space. If you started at least in the middle, you could fake left and go right and you'd have a lot more real estate. And she looked at me with such disdain. And I think she goes, that's the play we call. I was like, okay, so you only have one play? She goes, my coach wants me to be there. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So your coach only wants you to be right up against the sideline for you to attack right-handed. That's the only, you have one play.
They call that the corner double squat stack.
I was like, hey, it's just something I've noticed going to your games. She goes, you don't go to my games. I'm like, man,
Shit, Ben.
yeah. I'm like, man, this life's hard. And every time I talk to my wife, she's like, Grace is a bitch.
Dude, how old is she? An eighth grader?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple things. And how long has this been going? To the degree that it is, because there's moments where it peaks and then comes back down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's not like that all the time.
Yeah, for us, the Armageddon was when Maya was 12, or gonna be 12, so it was like 6th grade, and it was. I swear to God, every morning I woke up to the sound of my wife and my daughter screaming at each other. Like every morning, I was like, "What in the fuck did I sign up for? This is not life." But it just one day just turned a corner. So they only went through about 6 or 7 months where it was rough. Now, anybody who's had teenagers knows, right? They're emotional, they're hormonal, they're learning the world, so it ebbs and flows. But there will be a day where she just turns a corner, and that kind of stuff where your wife says that it'll just stop. It's so weird. But the other thing is, it's got to come from, it can't come from you clearly because she knows you don't have handles. What happened?
You're cutting out a little bit.
What happened?
You're cutting out just a little bit. You're cutting out.
Okay.
You're hardwired, right?
Yeah.
You're hardwired in this bitch. All right.
I think so.
Yeah, she knows I don't have handles. I can't give her advice on that.
Just the best thing to do with kids when they're right-handed and learning their left hand, use your left for one dribble just to get back to your right.
Yeah.
It's like the first thing you can learn, and it's a real easy thing to kind of learn.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the times we've had athletes on our show, and we kind of talked to them about parenting, and Jeff Bannister couldn't even give his own son baseball lessons when he was the reigning AL manager of the year. Michael Young's wife, got a hitting instructor for their kids. And he's like, dude, I'm the all-time hit leader for the Rangers. And our kids just want us to be their parents. They don't want us to give them instructions in these ways. So it might just be the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and they don't actually want us to be parents. They want us to go away when they're teenagers and give them money and access to everything.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
Exactly. Okay, so are you feeling okay? Are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm real tired. Just kind of like out of it. They didn't do full anesthesia. They just sedated me, which scared the crap out of me because of the horror stories of waking up and they're down there tugging on your junk and you can't say anything. So that was scary going in, because I was like, man, I think I'd rather you guys just completely knock me out. But I'm fine. I'm sore and all that stuff, but I'm already better today than I was yesterday. So I'm just kind of out of it. I'm just kind of groggy, man. I'm Groggy Man, which is a terrible character. Well,
you're playing hurt. The Cowboys are playing hurt. This is a perfect segue. And Tank Lawrence is going to be out 4 to 8 weeks. That sounds bad. Anytime I hear about Liz Frank or any of those things that involve feet, those are always scary, and they seem like they're long-term.
Have you ever read The Diary of Liz Frank?
I've never read The Diary of the Injury.
Yeah.
But, and then Micah with the high ankle sprain, and they're like, oh, he's week to week. I'm like, anytime there's a high ankle sprain, it feels like it's going to be at least a month, and maybe 6 to 8 weeks, but maybe he is superhuman and can get back. But the question is, this is already a bad defense for the most part. I mean, the Giants were the Giants. They gave the Cowboys this huge gift. The Giants looked at the first 3 weeks and like, wow, everyone's running the ball outside on the Cowboys. Let's not do that. I'm like, what? I don't understand. And the Giants, I don't know if the Cowboys got things back on track and won that game, or if the Giants just lost that game. But it's like the Cowboys, I'm choosing to look at it as, okay, I don't know that they righted the ship. They just played the Giants. And so now the schedule gets a little bit tougher, and they're without arguably their 2 best defensive players. I'm like, how are they going to survive this?
Well, they got off to a good look. They're going to have to survive the season offensively. That's the way it's got to be, and it obviously missing your two best defensive players on a bad defense is comical, but they weren't ever going to adequately fix their defense this year. They just had the ability to maybe scheme to the point where it's more sustainable, but they're going to be a team that gives up points. They're going to have to win being a team that scores points, and they got off to that good start offensively on Thursday night, but then it way slowed down. And so, did you? I didn't listen to the show yesterday. Did y'all end up playing the Mike McCarthy audio of all the pre-snap stuff when Clarence Hill asked him that question? Did you end up seeing that?
No, because KT was producing and he didn't want to have a good show yesterday.
Yeah. Basically, Overcooked Meat Mouth gave a really long answer as to why they didn't. They have like one of the least amounts of pre-snap motion in the league. And so he was like, I've seen those stats. We have those stats. But he was kind of implying, I mean, it was a long, rambling answer. And a lot of the gristle from the pot roast was falling out of his mouth. But basically what he was saying was, we've been behind the ball, behind the score so much that, we've had to run a lot of 2-minute offense and hurry up stuff. And, we're not going to have a lot of motion in that. So that skews the stats. Basically saying, man, we've sucked so bad we haven't been able to do a lot of pre-snap motion yet. And I'm like, well, maybe if you started with that stuff, you wouldn't get behind the score so quickly. Who knows? But he's cognizant of it. But the point being is that they're going to have to create ways to keep the defense off balance and score a ton of points. And in that game, it was almost that Giants game to me was almost like the Baltimore Ravens game with the roles reversed, to where the Cowboys got off to that big start and then just kind of grinded down and hey, you want to try a 100-yard field goal? So if they're going to win games this season, they're going to have to be a team that's giving you 28 a week at least, and they're going to have to do a lot. They're going to have to fix their offense, because I don't think they can fix the defense enough to be a good team like that.
Okay. So the idea being, defensively, to fix it, you need like a draft and free agency.
Absolutely.
And a new scheme that you implement as opposed to adjustments.
Yeah. Or maybe some of your guys like a Mozzie Smith gets way better, or Nealon gets way better. Things like that could help. I mean, right?
Hey, I saw Pro Football Focus said he was Mozzie Smith was the highest graded player in that entire game.
Yeah.
But which is great to see, because I thought he was a complete bust. But I want to talk about that offense. How could that offense go crazy? Because a couple of the stats that I saw yesterday were Dak has like the third most time in the pocket, or the least pressure, third least pressure in the entire NFL. And it's the best pocket he's had like his entire career, or one of the best. He's got, like, in the pocket, he's okay. He's got time.
Wow.
But the separation is terrible. Like it's like the worst in the league. The receivers, their separation they're getting from defenders. And so he's not throwing to open receivers, but he's got a ton of time in the pocket. So why is that? Like, I know CD doesn't all of a sudden suck, and he's not getting separation. Now, maybe some of these other guys aren't as talented as we had all hoped, but this was a great offense last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of the best in the league, if not the best. And so if he's got time and guys just aren't getting open, isn't that an indictment of McCarthy and the scheme and all that pre-snap motion and tricking the defense? Like, everybody knows exactly what's coming and they're covering it, even when they're not getting pressure on the quarterback. So how do you wake up that offense and say, oh yeah, you guys got to stop sucking. Our defense is toast. We need you guys to be the best offense in the league again, or we're not going to win games.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's like that trend of the last 5 or 6 years to have 37-year-old chiseled wonder boy in there calling your plays and trying stuff, and all these guys, if you just want to call it the McVay types or the Kingsbury types, or all these guys bring new ideas to it. I mean, KT's been big on this, that McCarthy is stale. it's funny. Dak really performed well in McCarthy's offense last year after bouncing Kellen Moore. And so where does that throw the monkey wrench into things? Or was that a big change from what the Cowboys had been previously, and that worked last year, and now everyone's prepared for that, and the Cowboys aren't adjusting? That's the other thing, too, is we make these really strong opinions in September, and the shit just changes so much. So there's still time. I mean, you know how I feel about McCarthy. I know you feel similarly. But he's won a lot of football games. And so if he'll make some adjustments and make some changes, that could benefit the offense greatly. We know they're not going to have a great run game. So they have to get different with their run game. I think Rico Dowdle is fine. He's not a badass, but dude, he's fine. He's got a little burst, but they need to get them the ball in different ways. And man, if they ever throw the ball to Zeke in the flat again, I might just turn my TV off forever, dude.
Yeah, the lack of a running game, I do think Dowdle would be a good second or third running back, special teams guy. I don't think he should ever carry the offense. And if the offensive line is doing that well pass blocking, do they just suck run blocking? I don't know, but it does bring me to this. Like, I don't ever want to draft a running back in the first round again, just because you're not going to sign him. You shouldn't keep him after that first contract because you're going to overpay for those guys. But have the Cowboys backed themselves into a corner now with no running game? And if you don't have a running game, play action's not going to work. And the team can just say, yeah, we're going to double CD on every play.
Yeah.
Try to beat us some other way. And so there's this running back for Boise State that my son has pointed out to me. And every Saturday we end up watching a little bit of his game or on that weird blue field. And we were watching him this weekend, and my son Miles is like, that's who the Cowboys need to draft. But he's going to be a first-round pick. I can't remember his name. He's actually from Frisco. He went to Lone Star High School. This guy reminds me of like Marshall Faulk. He's muscular, but he's not. I think he's 5'9". It's not like he's a giant guy, but he is so fast. Like at any point, he can take it to the house. Screen, bootleg, down the field. Can he continue this? He's just one of those guys who, if you get him the rock, he could be gone. And I found myself going, would this save the Cowboys offense this offseason to like go get an absolute game-breaking, playmaking, speed demon running back like A-Chain or something like that? Like, would this save the offense to go against everything I believe and actually draft a running back with a first-round pick?
My opinion is that if the guy is special, and those special guys come along. Saquon was clearly special. Bijan is clearly special. That it makes sense. I'm okay drafting those guys in the first round because the thing is that there's a lot of first round guys you draft that don't make a difference anyways. Like just because you have a first round pick, there's no guarantee that you're going to keep that guy 8 years. Again, the NFL is a league where most of those guys play 4 years. And so if there's a special running back, I'm totally cool drafting him in the first round. The thing I would say is that you at the very least, need to draft a guy that's a Tony Pollard styled player once every 3 years. If you do that, if you draft that guy in the first 3 to 4 rounds, once every 3 years, barring injury, you'll be fine in this league. Focus on having your offensive line be really good and draft a Tony Pollard styled human once every 3 or 4 years and keep churning them over and let the Titans sign them once every 3 and 4 years. And you're fine because you have another guy to plug in. The problem is that the closest thing they had to plug in for that was Rico Dowdle, who again, I think is fine, but he's not special. He's good. He's okay. And if you have a really good offensive line and a guy that's got some speed and can make some reads, your running game will be fine. But the Cowboys, when's the last? I don't remember. It was Tony Pollard, the last running back they drafted that wasn't Gadget Man.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I keep going back to this thing, and I haven't looked at where the Jets picked in each round versus where the Cowboys picked. But the Cowboys gave up a 4th round pick for Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you were able to go get a guy who was a top pick in the whole draft, and maybe they wanted to try to put some heat on Dak for those negotiations, or see maybe they really wanted to see if there's another cheaper option. He's a useless piece of this team, and his contract's up, so he'll leave after this. Well, the Jets got Braylon Allen. I think he's a running back out of Wisconsin, and dude, he's Breece Hall's backup, and now they have, double horses, and he looks like a beast. If he was here, I feel like it would change everything. So they, to your point, they could have had a second, third, fourth round guy, and they didn't. But this guy from Boise State, this is taking the best running back in the draft, take it to the house. He may have a Hall of Fame type career, I think. And I'll put it to you like this. If the Cowboys could just add one position right now, and if you're watching this, leave it in the comments. We see the comments over to the side. You can add one position to the Dallas Cowboys right now. Just right now, mid-season. Let's just say, and he's a stud. He's a Pro Bowler. What position would that guy play to make the biggest difference with what the Cowboys' issues are right now?
Do you have your answer?
I would say defensive tackle, I think.
I was going to say anywhere on the defensive line. I don't care. Tackle, end, I don't care. They need defensive line help desperately.
But it's so weird that they've been run on outside so much.
Give me anybody on the defensive line that makes a difference.
But
any position.
You're also saying that the defense is hopeless, and so the offense has to tote the note. So maybe it's the best wide receiver out there, or maybe it's legit running back, or honestly, I think offensively, I think scheme is their biggest problem because they were great last year.
The only problem I have with the Trey Lance thing, if this is true, because McCarthy is a guy that'll just blame other people for shit. Like, that's pretty, KT was saying that when he was in Green Bay, he would come in and tell us that all the time. But we've seen it here. But if it's true that the Joneses traded for Trey Lance without even consulting Mike McCarthy, that's basically what the level of dysfunction that Cowboys fans and media people have been talking about for decades. That is so bad to draft a quarterback, or not draft, but trade for a quarterback that the coach may think sucks. That is so stupid, especially if it's not a guy that you need, right? That was dude, he had training camp and didn't even beat out Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is still on this team. That is silly. And so if they just got a wild hair up their ass and traded for a guy that the head coach is like, that guy sucks, I wouldn't play him. That is such a high level of dysfunction. It's really hard to overcome that sort of stuff and be good. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and there's, people in the comments wanting Devontae Adams. There are receiver like Amare. Are they hate Amare too much to bring him back?
So I hadn't thought about that till KT brought it up. The Amare thing did become petty, but if they can't bring back Amari Cooper, and there could be other reasons we don't know about, right? But if they can't bring back Amari Cooper because of bitterness over COVID, then Jerry Jones, I would like for you to take your own advice and say you can't let your money get mad, right? Didn't you say that? If that's the case, then let bygones be bygones. And if you can go get him, hell, I'd give up. I know it's like a 5th round pick probably to get him. I'd give that up in a heartbeat if it made your offense that much better. But, dude, there may be some other stuff that we don't know, some locker room stuff or whatever that we're not privy to. But what everyone seems to think is that Jerry never got over being butthurt on the whole COVID thing and him missing games when it mattered and blah, blah, blah. But if that's the case, man, look at your squad. And if you can't look at it and evaluate it without emotion, yeah, you're effed anyways, man.
Yeah. All right. We are you want to put a bow on Cowboys talk here?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, looking at it now, I don't know how you feel, 15-2.
I think they are about to get destroyed. I think they're going to I think you're going to miss the playoffs. I think this thing is an absolute shit show. In a lot of ways, I think that the Joneses kind of had a feeling it was going that way. That's why they got a dead man walking, the coach in his last year. That's why you got Belichick circling like a football vulture.
He's too busy doing underdog commercials.
And I just, and this is the dysfunction. We talked to somebody, we won't say who, but we talked to somebody who's in the loop.
Jason Witten.
Who was shocked that Jerry ended up signing Dak to that deal. Because they're like, man, it seems like 30 days before that, it didn't seem like that was going to happen. I'm like, bro, there is such crazy dysfunction over there. Anyways, we'll see what happens this week. I don't want to watch a terrible team that loses every week, but I fear that this is about to be an absolute shit show. So
I do want to say one last thing in all seriousness. If they don't beat the Steelers, I think the season's over because I think it's have you watched the Lions play?
Yeah.
They score at will.
Yeah.
And I think it's in fact, I thought I saw a stat last night when I was fiddle farting. I think they have the most 40-point offensive games since the start of last season. And we know what our defense is like, and they're not going to have Tank and probably not going to have Micah. That's the game after the Steelers, right? Isn't it the Lions?
Yeah, I think so.
So if they do not beat the Steelers on the 6th, they have the Lions on the 13th. They'll be 2-4 going into the break. And that's probably not going to be something you come back from. I don't know. We don't have the stats yet on 17-game seasons, right? It hadn't been long enough to really have numbers to support all that stuff, but it seems very unlikely.
All right, we're going to get to Strip Mall Steve here. We got a news bender. I see him setting up in his big, expensive studio. But before we get to that, it's time for this.
Oh, yeah, Scroll Patrol. Yeah, Ben's on a scrolling roll. Looking at big booties. Mukbang and Liver King. There's Toots and Snake Boots. Yeah, everybody's cutting some toots. Yeah, it's Scroll Patrol. What is it? I just said it's Scroll Patrol. Patrol!
Oh, yes. All right. The Scroll Patrol is our segment that we do from time to time because Skin doesn't know how to use the internet as good as I do. And so he's always looking at documentaries and jazz musicians and stuff like that. And I think he's missing out on so many of the good things. And I can't send him these things because if I text him, hey, look at this Instagram thing, he's not going to click on it because he's worried about tainting his algorithm.
That's correct.
So I just wanted to show you some things. And these are just some things that I've accrued. And look, people are sending me these now. Our buddy Tyler from Rollertown is sending me these. Thank you, Tyler. If you see something that's crazy effing weird and you want me to show it to Skin and the Scroll Patrol, send it to me and I'll try to get it in the mix. But I just want to show you some things.
If you see something, say something.
If you see something, say something. That's Jason Parentello who's producing this. Okay. So let's dive in here. I want to get your thoughts on this one.
Okay.
Got a guy eating a giant crab.
Is that Indian style rice? What do they call that?
Hand rice. I think we're dealing with some Wi-Fi issues today. All right.
So he's eating rice off the top of the crab?
Yeah. So the internet's not going to be our friend on this one, Jay, so we can skip that one. We might have to figure out how to download these things. We're still learning on the fly, but basically this guy is about to eat this crab, and I just saw him dig in and bite the crab on the little clip prior to it.
Wait, did you say clip with a hard P at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it turns out the crab was just a prop. He was just setting hand rice on top of the crab, and then he just ate the rice without biting into the crab. I'm like, what is this bullshit?
You know what that guy did? He tricked you. It's kind of like someone getting all dolled up, and then it gets down to time for some action. And then it's like, hey, you don't look anything like I thought you looked when I saw you an hour ago. He's tricking the mukbang people. He's like, watch, I'll get a bunch of likes and follows from people like Ben Rogers because they think I'm about to do something weird with this crab, when really he's just using it as a giant spoon and a spoon that he doesn't need because he's already put his dirty hands all over the rice.
All right.
That's why they call it dirty rice.
Some of the food stuff I see is, it's just because, again, the algorithm now knows this guy wants to look at the most disgusting food videos.
Okay, hold on. Before you play this, I looked up. Oh, man, this hurts my hernia scar. Sorry to ask, are you suffering from a health condition?
Okay. All right. This is an important part of Scroll Patrol.
Look at that.
This guy, don't play it yet, Jason, but this is a guy who I think they call him the Walrus. He likes.
Do we need audio on this?
Yeah. I think he's the guy who he's in Russia, I think, and he likes to get into freezing cold water, and they call him the Walrus. Now, when I looked at the comments, this guy's been popping up on my timeline a lot lately. When I see him, he's always talking about the evening silence. He's getting in the coldest water you've ever seen, and then he's like eating ice cream to show you that he's impervious to the cold water. But he always is doing something interesting with his eyes. And so the thing about the Scroll Patrol is, I don't ever want to make fun of somebody who has a condition. And so that guy Abdo Elachari is asking, sorry to ask, are you suffering from a health condition? He's asking that gently and gingerly because he too are you okay? Because there is something interesting happening here with his eyes.
Have you followed some of Abdo El-Bachari's other comments?
No.
He's got 1,000. He's got 1,100 likes.
He does have 1,100 likes on that comment.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if the internet's going to be our friend, if it'll play this or not.
All right.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, it does look like he has a health condition.
We may have to bail on the Scroll Patrol till we get these technical glitches figured out. But look at that. See the...
Okay. Yeah. His eyes are...
Yeah.
He might be looking at the moon behind him.
But basically, if you could hear him, he will just sit there and say, the cold water.
So he sounds like Malkovich in Rounders.
I splash the water whenever I want.
Yeah. Whenever you see me shifting my seat, Ben, just know it hurts.
Okay. There's somebody who just said, "Hey Igor, why are you always looking upper left corner?" So I don't know. I Googled him because I wanted to see, hey, is this guy? Because a lot of people love this guy, and he's apparently inspiring people somehow. And so I was like, okay, well, gosh, maybe he's overcome some incredible adversity. Anyways,
he could have a beautiful soprano voice.
I don't know. Yes, but yeah, that's him. All right, we can try one more. I just don't think we got the bandwidth to party today. You want to see Jason if there's one more? Somebody says, "Damn it, Jason, do you have Cricket Wireless?"
Oh man, seriously, it hurts to laugh.
All right, yeah, we're not gonna get it. It's fine. It's fine. We're not gonna get it. We'll continue to work on these technical difficulties.
I don't feel good.
But right now, it's time for this.
It's weird and wild. Let's see what's coming down the wire in the News Bender with pedestrian news fella, strip mall Steve Shackelford.
How's it going, guys? We got a lot of
Hey.
news here.
Hi, Steve.
I see Ben. Is it just Ben?
I see Ben too.
There
Ben's
we
looking
go.
great.
Oh wow, look at
Look
him.
at that. Look
Look
at
at
him.
him.
That's
All
outstanding.
official.
All right.
I just realized I haven't seen Shackelford in person in a long time. Your hair is banging, son.
It's getting there. That's right. I don't know if I can share the screen. I've got some funny photos, but it's no big deal if I can't. It's all good.
Okay.
Either way. All right. I do have some breaking news that science has been working on for years, apparently. This is from livescience.com with the headline, "What happens when you hold in a fart?" And this is breaking news. It was just published recently. So the average person releases about 1/10 of a gallon to 1/2 a gallon of gas per day, and many of these farts are odorless. But before they get let out, they do hit something called a sphincter apparently, is what this doctor said. And if you constrict the sphincter, the fart is trapped. And now doctors have realized that if you ignore those farts during the day, they are mostly released at night when you sleep.
Okay, so I want to make sure I have a good understanding of this. They're not saying that holding the fart is bad for you, although I could tell you right now, if I were to hold a fart, my scars would burst open. But it stores it in the sphincter tank, and then it unleashes it on your wife while you're sleeping?
That's correct. I will say that I did not give that caveat that it says you can injure yourself by trying to never pass gas. So they would encourage you to let it go when you can. But if you don't, it's going to come out, like you said, either out of the sphincter tank at night or into a physical tank like your toilet when you're just using the bathroom normally.
Okay, that's interesting because isn't the sphincter tank, which is a great name for a radio segment, I think, or a show, Saturday Sphincter Tank.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, what is the place that's not heaven and not hell?
Purgatory.
Yeah. That's right. It's the purgatory of the poop dynamic. It's like you're not in the toilet, you're still close to being food, but you're in that middle ground in the sphincter tank.
We need to go back to the other part of the story. So what'd you say, a half a tank of gas a day?
Anywhere from 1/10 of a gallon to a half gallon of gas a day, yeah.
So, but that's half a gallon of fume space?
That's how it was reported.
Can you liquidate the fumes so that you can measure the gallons?
I don't know much about chemistry, but I'd imagine there's some kind of conversion method where you could turn it into a liquid. Can gas go back into a liquid if it gets cold enough?
Isn't that called a shart, men?
Yes, it is a shart. Your farts are tricking you.
Man, my stomach hurts.
Okay, so have you guys... okay, I've been with my wife now for over 30 years, and I have never witnessed her rip one, except in her sleep.
Really?
And she denies it, but every once in a while, and of course, I have to wake her up and yell at her. I have to wake her up and go, damn it! Hey! I'm watching HBO! I gotta be in here with you! Wake up! Quit doing that in your sleep! And then make her go sleep on the couch.
I thought you were going to say you immediately Dutch ovened yourself because of that weird fetish that you have. That is funny, though. Kick your wife out of bed because she farted in her sleep.
Well, now you know it's intentional. She's been holding it all day so that she can unleash it at night. Yeah. That's the problem.
Go out in the backyard before I get home and air it out.
But honey, Dr. Sphincter told me this is how I should do it.
I don't even think he's a real doctor. Quit letting him come to the house.
Dude, that would be weird if your wife had a relationship with a Dr. Sphincter. That doesn't seem like an appropriate relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's licensed. All right, in other news.
Good job,
America
Steve.
has a geriatric STD crisis. And apparently it's because after menopause, people don't care anymore about anything. So a study by the AARP found that only 8% of sexually active seniors reported using condoms all the time, but another study says they think those people are lying, and it's actually only about 3%. So across the nation, South Dakota led the way in adults 65 and over being diagnosed with syphilis, while Washington, D.C. led the way in gonorrhea diagnoses, and coming in number one is Alaska for the highest rate of chlamydia in seniors at nearly 18 cases per capita.
Okay, is per capita per 100? What is per capita?
Per 100,000 people, I think.
Oh, okay. So it's not like it's a terrible epidemic, but it's still a thing. Like you would think that there wouldn't be a whole lot of it, but clearly one senior is going to a seaport and hanging out with some dirty hookers and then getting it and then bringing it back to his senior committee.
That's what it seems like. And yeah, they don't think that condoms are going to help because nobody's willing to engage in sex ed at this point. So they're like, we could give them condoms. They're not going to use them. They're already readily available. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause if you're at the end of the world, you know, if you're at the end of days for you, you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna care. Right.
I think that's part of it, but I also think for a lot of seniors, they can't make it happen with that. Like, I don't think there's enough blood flow for them to feel it through a layer of rubber. You know what I'm saying? I think in order for it to actually happen and be functioning, there's got to be some feel there. And I think that's the main reason. Like, come on, man. Some 70-year-old guy's got enough blood flow to where he can work it through a layer. I mean, he's going to have to feel something in there, I think, with my experience of being a 70-year-old man.
Right.
But it is tough because a lot of older gentlemen, when they were growing up, were taught to steer clear of, quote, loose women to avoid venereal disease. So it is tough on some of them. So once they know they've got it, they don't necessarily want to get with them anymore. So it's like a scarlet letter for those women 65 and older. It's tough.
Oh, so they're forced into retirement?
Essentially, yeah.
And by loose women, you don't mean that. You mean like literally, right?
Like sleeve of wizard.
Exactly.
Man, they told me not to laugh. It hurts so bad.
All right, let's move on to the 81-year-old man sentenced to 6 months in federal prison for using tissue and testicles from large Central Asian sheep to illegally create hybrid sheep for hunting in Texas. Skin.
Man, I'm going to need a repeat of that. There was a lot of words that just battered my cerebellum. What did you say?
That's right. An 81-year-old man has been sentenced to 6 months in federal prison for using tissues and testicles from a large Central Asian sheep to illegally create hybrid sheep that he could hunt in Texas.
I was hyper-focused, and I still am not 100% I'm following this. So, who
Absolutely.
did this? One more time.
Sure. So, Montana man essentially got some Central Asian sheep testicles and then took them back to the States and started creating hybrid Central Asian sheep mixed with our good old American sheep here for the sole purpose of hunting them here in Texas.
Okay.
And I guess that is very illegal.
Well, it doesn't seem that sporting to hunt sheep. I mean, they just kind of stand there, right? Are they elusive? It seems like they just sit there and go, bad. You make a sweater out of them. I didn't know that like hunting sheep was the thing.
But
This
keep
is
in
the
mind,
Marco Polo sheep. Sorry, go ahead.
being fair, like people go hog hunting in helicopters. That's not fair either. It's not like people aren't, people fish in stock ponds. I think this is the hunting equivalent of that, right?
Can you imagine having a bunch of sheep head on your wall? Well, I got this one in Cleburne. I was about a good 40 yards out, and I got it with a slingshot. So have you guys ever been in a dude's house or a lady's house where they have a bunch of taxidermied animals?
I have, but I've never gotten the tour where they recapped the stories.
I have a family member that is, big gamesman hunter man. And it's like, you walk into the house and your first thought is, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, I don't understand. I don't like, it just seems to me you're bringing a lot of negative energy into your house with all these dead creatures. Here's the bodies of dead creatures. I don't know. It just seems to go against the laws of existence. It's kind of like sleeping in a cemetery. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me.
Well, it's a trophy. If you're talking about trophy hunting, and you're savoring the memory of going to do that. It's just never been my thing, but I understand why people are into it. And I think of Brad Wesley, in Roadhouse, because he had that whole room that was dedicated to all those things. And I think that giant polar bear killed a fat guy.
It definitely fell on him.
All right, this is kind of funny. What if you went into a place I'm looking at Hoyt's comment down there. What if you went into a place and instead of all the heads of the creatures, it was all the hindquarters all facing out of the wall? So it's like a bunch of sheep's asses sticking out of the wall. That's a pretty good bit. I could get into that.
It's the true trophy. Well, yeah, the judge in this case did struggle to come up with a sentencing because this man had no criminal record, but they do want to deter anyone else from trying to, quote, change the genetic makeup of the creatures of Earth.
Isn't there a movie called Shutter Island where that happens?
Wait,
what's
what
the
do you
premise
mean?
of Shutter Island?
Shutter Island is Leonardo DiCaprio, and is he crazy and in the asylum already, or is he a detective who's studying a case there at the island in the insane asylum?
Am I thinking of Dr. Morneau or something? What?
Island of Dr. Moreau.
Okay, is that Val Kilmer?
Maybe. It's been a long time since I even thought about that movie.
I think there might be a Val Kilmer movie where he's making animals and stuff.
Wait, Steve, do you have a song in Shutter Island?
No, see, that's confusing. I got to remember, I think it was Shelter Island is Paul Corvino's ripoff.
Yes,
That's
okay.
the thing. I was like, we've got a movie with Paul Sorvino and it's Shutter Island? And they're like, no, Steve, actually it's Paul Corvino and it's Shelter Island. And you're like, oh, shit.
Right. Okay.
It's
Still.
still a placement, dude. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Exactly. I got a lot of tail when I was like really young out of it. I swear. It's like Showtime original movie. I'm making it.
I think we're out of time for news. I just don't think we can have another story.
There's so much news.
Nope.
There's baloney news, Wolf
Nope.
news, Wilford Brimley news.
I don't think. Yeah.
He's going to have to do a better job of organizing that because I looked at the clock. It's 10:49.
Yes.
And we have a very tight schedule. Like we have to stay on schedule.
Yeah.
Because of the next thing that we're going to do.
We've got important stuff that we have to get to. We just can't sit there and meander in the news all day. We got urgent things we got to get to in the show.
Is that that MAV? Is that a tin tacker?
Yeah.
On the wall behind you?
Yeah. It's the old Mavericks logo, and I saw it online. I had to get it. It's a nice little Mavs tin tacker, and just got it back there. Just reminds me of how long that I've loved the Mavs.
So is that so did you order that like on Instagram or where did you get that?
It's popped up on Instagram. I'm legally bound to buy everything that I see that's an Instagram ad, and
Okay.
so I buy every single thing I see.
Is that so behind you? Is that like the room comes to a corner? Is that kind of what that is?
Room's coming to a corner there. There's a little Michael Jordan there on the wall. See if I can show it to you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a Jordan poster, and then you have some other stuff like kind of at the bottom of it. How big is some of that stuff behind you?
I love that we had to let Steve go for this.
What? Oh, yeah. Well, we had to get to this. It was very time sensitive. The frame on the Ben and Skin thing. I like that frame. I like the way the M of the Maverick goes on the top part of the corner of the frame. Was that intentional?
Yes, very intentional. I designed that with a design team at like a Michaels.
Do you prefer Michaels or Home Goods?
Listen, I've got a couple things I got to get to here before we bail. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in and enjoying us. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. The Ben and Skin Super Soaker. If you see it out on social media, comment on it, etc. A couple more things to get to before we bounce. And don't forget to check out our radio show today, 3 to 6 on 97.1 The Eagle.
By the way, I miss Steve. I think we should have given him more time.
So I've got another Poopmageddon disaster happening at my house right now.
Okay.
And our dog, I'm worried about him going to the vet. Barkley, I think he's 12, maybe closing on 13 now. And he's just getting up there, a lot of miles on the odometer. Sweet, sweet dog, big, giant, horse-sized golden doodle. And he's been a phenomenal dog. There's a picture of him chilling.
Oh, my God. That looks like the sheep hunter got him.
He's kind of relaxing there, all right?
Oh, okay.
But that dog, Barkley, that is in the middle of a poop explosion that he's been having.
Oh.
So every once in a while, he'll go through some terrible diarrhea, and he goes into our living room rug and just demolishes it.
Yeah.
And on Sunday morning, I woke up, and the question is, did I or did I not notice that the rug had been destroyed as I got my coffee and then went in the opposite direction into this office that I'm in now?
Yep.
There seems to be some discrepancy over whether or not I would have noticed that poop was there.
Yeah. What about the smell?
Let's not get into it. I mean, it's just we just know that I didn't, apparently, according to the ledger, did not notice it. And when I came out of my office to see what was going on in there, it had already been cleaned up.
Oh, that's great, man. That's fortunate.
But it smelled terrible. And the disaster, I will tell you this. I'm going to jump back and forth in the story.
Okay.
The next night, I was in this office very late, and Kat had already gone to bed. And when I went to bed, apparently I opened the laundry room door. The dog was contained in there, so if it had a diarrhea disaster, it would be on tile.
Right.
Not on the hardwoods. And so it was my fault. He got out again and did it. And then today, for the third day in a row, today is my wife's birthday.
Hey.
She woke up in not that special way. He did it again. But this time he did it in our bathroom on the tile, but it's the worst smelling thing. Like, I'm scared to get ready for work. I don't even want to go in there. It smells so bad. Okay. So she made the call to the vet, and she's going to take him into the vet. But I worry when you take a dog to the vet this late in the odometer, what they're going to say. So fingers crossed. Anyways, he is just, and I let him out the other day. He's such a sweet boy. He came to me to let me know he needed to go outside. I let him outside, and it was like a brown water hose.
Oof.
It was straight water. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. But that's not the worst of it. Okay.
Okay.
The worst of it was Sunday when she cleaned it up.
Okay.
She used some sort of a shop vac. I think I got a picture of that here.
Wait, what?
Yeah. She cleaned the rug, and Jason, I think you have that picture too. It's a vacuum.
She vacuumed up the brown liquid?
Well, I guess she cleaned it up, and then she put down the cleaning agent, and then she used this vacuum. I sent Jason a picture of it. He may not have it, but essentially it's got these little water reservoirs in it, and it's like a professional, there it is. See, it's like a professional carpet cleaning thing, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha, yeah.
And so it's got the water in there, it's a vacuum, and she's cleaning it up. After she's cleaned it, this is the final touch to clean it, I guess.
Okay.
And she had decided, in a mysterious decision that I don't support, she was going to empty the water reservoir into the sink.
Ooh.
Which I don't know that's in our laundry room. We've got an industrial sink in there.
Okay, I was about to say, what about a laundry room sink? Is that not in play?
It was the laundry room sink, which is not ever really used except for disasters, I guess. But
yeah.
So pop that picture up there, Jason. So she's getting ready to take the water reservoir from the living room and walk it into the laundry room. Okay?
Okay.
And she fumbles it.
Oh.
Now, she has already used it, right?
Yep.
She's already used it to get all of the water and poop water and in that thing. And she dropped it and spilled it everywhere on the kitchen floor.
Is it a poopy water?
Yeah. And so it was an even different smell than the other horrible smell.
Y'all got to move, dude.
And it was all over the hardwoods. And I was like, honey, you know that like hardwoods are porous. And so like when we replaced other flooring because our dogs destroy it,
right.
It's like fake hardwoods. It's vinyl. And so the dog poop and all that can't seep through it. But like, you got to get to this quick. Or she goes, I got to it immediately. It's fine. But dude, she was like cleaning her feet, and I felt so bad. So did I or did I not notice it? It led to that, and now she's had 3 days in a row of just poop disaster cleanups. And God bless her, today she just got up and did it on her birthday. I was sound asleep, but what a terrible poop disaster we're fighting through.
Why wouldn't you get up early and take care of it for her on her birthday?
I didn't know because I was asleep. I didn't know that it was the third consecutive day of a poop disaster. Now, we could let him sleep outside, but he barks at everything, and he's huge. And so I would imagine somebody would call the police because he would bark at everything literally all night long.
Plus, you guys have bobcats and coyotes out there, don't you?
Yeah, and they may see him looking a little down on his luck. They may try to take advantage. In his prime, I think he would have scared him off with his size, but he's not. He's kind of moving like one of those Imperial walkers now in Empire Strikes Back, where it's just not very fluid. And
don't say fluid.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Man, I'm sorry. So there's are there any solid poops anymore or no?
Well, this is 3 days old. So
Yeah.
Sunday morning was the first of these. Now he's had this in the past 6 to 8 months that it's come and gone. But anyways, I believe he's going to go to the vet today. So keep Barkley and our family in your thoughts and prayers because that may be bad. Anyways,
T's and P's.
T's and P's. So yesterday was Mavs Media Day, and I want to switch gears to a little Mavs basketball. And it was so awesome to see Klay Thompson officially in his Maverick jersey, and all the guys were doing their interviews. And I want to say this: I thought Luka looked awesome.
Yeah,
he's not had much time. Like they were just playing. It seems like a few weeks ago in the finals. Then he played for Slovenia. I'm like, I don't know that he ever had any time to really relax, but he was being criticized when he was on that tour, of China or wherever he was. I saw some people going, "Hey man, he looks like he's big," or played in that, that charity game or what it was.
It was the Night of the Dragon. I feel Slovenia.
Yes, the Dragic game, but he got criticized for how he looked in that. I'm like, we talk about how ridiculous all that stuff is, but
right.
He looked awesome. And I do think that they just finished playing. So, I mean, maybe they have a hangover from that and they didn't get it really the type of offseason they wanted to really get refreshed and relaxed. But the thing that I think is the difference maker in that is Klay. Having Klay Thompson rejuvenates and refreshes this thing. And dude, I cannot wait for Mavericks basketball and the spacing that having Klay is going to provide.
Yeah, and I think, that's a big part of it, Ben, but I also think that if you look at the team that went to the finals and look at the experience of the guys that were playing, right, that matters quite a bit. And so like even the Celtics, which clearly they were the best team in the league last year, those teams had been to the finals and failed. Now, to some degree, right, Porzingis was added to the team and there's changes, but there's guys on the roster that had already been on deep playoff runs. I mean, PJ Washington was Jr. was like your best third or fourth best player, had never even made the playoffs before, right? Gafford didn't have playoff experience. Lively was a rookie. Josh Green, on and on. And so I think aside from what he does for the team offensively, I think just listen to the way that Luka and Kyrie, but also the other guys talk about Klay. I mean, think about how many times he's been in the finals already. He's been a part of a dynasty. And so there's that element too, not just what he can do on the floor, but what he can provide them off the floor, confidence, mentality, all of those sorts of things. It has a chance to be a really, really great team. The only thing I think working against them is how long their season was last year, not only going to the finals, but how the season began, going to Abu Dhabi and then going to Spain. And so that was a really long, crazy season. So it's very encouraging that Luka came in looking great, looking ready to go. I do think that this is going to be a more confident team. I like all the stuff that they had to say. This is really, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is. And
by the way, you knew this, right? That they're on their way to Vegas right now, right? Or like they got there last night. They're practicing today in Vegas.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. And again, it's the idea of getting out away where you can't go home and you got to be together, developing that early season chemistry. Kyrie looks good. He looks happy. Everybody looks locked in. And yeah, man, Lively coming into his second year. I mean, good Lord, how much is he going to improve? I'm so excited, man. I'm so fired up for Mavs basketball. I know you are too. And so we're having some technical difficulties today. So Jason is advising we postpone our last thing until Thursday. But what do you want to say about this? I do want to preview. Let's put it on people's radar and then do a deep dive on Thursday's Super Soaker.
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, I'm never telling you go listen to other radio stations, but there is a community radio station here, a public radio station, KXT, and they've actually started this thing called a Homegrown Music Month. So if you're into local music, you should at least go check out their IG page. But they've launched their local music month with Silver Skylarks. So today they're featuring me and Danny, which is cool. Very
Let's
nice of
go.
them to do. That's how they're launching this thing.
What is it? What station is it?
91.7 KXT. It's public radio. You know, they're not competitors with 97.1
Right.
The Eagle, because you know, we're a commercial station and they're a community station, public radio. But that's pretty cool, man. That makes us happy. They wrote some articles about it and stuff like that. So we like that. And then you know, our buddy Paul Shalda, who heck, we were talking about him on the show on Friday as he came wandering into the brewery in Rollertown. We've got like a little concert film that we shot live in studio at Niles City Sound. That is in Fort Worth. That's the studio that Leon Bridges built, is kind of like the way I say it. He didn't literally build it, but the studio came to be with his first album. They started building the studio in order to record that first album. And it's an amazing facility and a really cool place to record. A lot of vintage gear and stuff. And so we recorded like a live concert there, and it's available to stream. I'll blast out the link to it, but you can go watch it on YouTube or stream the music on Spotify or anything like that. So just some things going on with the Skylark Soul Company, as it were.
Yeah, and let's do a deeper dive on Thursday Soaker, and then if we could get people to post the link here in YouTube and then on social media, look for that, engage with it. We appreciate that. With regard to our show, the Ben and Skin Show, will be on today 3 to 6 on 97.1 The Eagle with KT and Christina, and on Friday we're going to be doing our show from Pluckers in Plano. So if you want to come watch the Ben and Skin Show live this Friday, Pluckers in Plano. And, you know, we talked about Luca briefly, and I know that we will at some point here have a Luca interview. I think that'll end up happening for us. We've been getting close to that, and recently heard that, hey, man, this is going to happen, just a matter of where and how it goes down. So we're stoked about that. But it was in April that we gave away a meet and greet with Luca, where two guys won. Or one guy won and brought a friend and got to come meet Luca. Skin got them down on the court at the MAVS game to watch the shoot around. Then we went into the bowels of the stadium. They got to meet Luca. They brought some stuff. He signed them. They took a picture with him. They got to meet him, shake his hand. That was a really cool meet and greet. And we're going to be giving away meet and greets. I'm not saying it's going to be with Luca, whoever it's with. Like, who would you want a meet and greet to be with? But we have a lot of friends over the course of our career in doing this, and we'd love to share that magic. And so basically what we're doing is we started this thing called the Complete Fun Package, and it's just a way it's like a loyalty program. It's for our most loyal listeners and supporters. It's a way for us to email you directly, let you know when we're going live on YouTube, or maybe special content or merch offerings or things like that. But in exchange for you signing up for it and just giving us your email address, you will be entered to win, you know, stuff like meet and greets or a big screen TV or a computer. And then that's just a reward for us to give you, to say thank you for signing up for this. Thank you for supporting us. And the Complete Fun Package is what it's called. And Paul, if you would pop that in the link here on YouTube so people could see it, that'd be great.
It's all part of the Complete Fun Package we're throwing out here.
Yeah, it's all part of the Complete Fun Package, but man, we certainly would appreciate if everyone would sign up.
Yeah, and look, we're going to be sending you updates via email, but we're not going to be spamming you. We'll just send you pertinent stuff, let you know what's going on in the world of Ben and Skin, how it relates to the brewery, to the Super Soaker, to any of our giveaways, to anything we're doing on 97.1 The Eagle. It's just kind of keeping you in the loop of the Ben and Skin universe, so we don't have to rely on social media platforms. So it'll come directly to your inbox. If you ever see it in your junk email, make sure to move it back over to your inbox so your dumb email platform knows to show you the Ben and Skin emails.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. And so now, are you going to go back to hernia resting?
Yeah, I need to ice it. I'm supposed to be icing it every 20 minutes, so I'm probably going to go ice it and then do my best to rock a deuce, Ben. That's the only fear factor on my radar, is the growler part of this.
Do a Facebook Live. Go to the Ben and Skin Facebook page and take us in there with you.
I like that idea. I'm going to need to download Facebook.
There you go. Okay. Yep. Thanks to everyone who listened to this one. We're out of here and viewed it and watched it. We love you. Peace.
This has been another Iron Balls production.
Iron Balls!